When you're the most untalented man in the business, they have a name for you. They don't call you untalented. They call you Nick Murray with MMAnomad.com.
Nick Murray with MMAnomad.com giving you UFC 154 St Pierre Vs Condit fight predictions. All right, I'm just going to pick a few fights on this card and give you some predictions on it. I want to first talk about Patrick Cote versus Alessio Sakara. Both guys coming off some losses in their careers, looking like they're fighting for their position in the UFC. Alessio Sakara lost to Chris Weidman. He got pretty much grapple fucked by him and then got knocked out while Brian Stann was in his guard. You know, that was a great fight. Brian Stann knocked him out and then quit when he knew he was out. And then we got Patrick Cote coming off a competitive fight against Kung Lee, but he lost that via unanimous decision. So both these guys might be fighting for their careers here in the UFC. I got Patrick Cote winning this via second round submission. I see him taking him to the ground and getting his back and something like a rear naked choke. The next fight I want to talk about is Mark Hominick versus Pablo Garza. Mark Hominick coming off 3 losses. You know, he has not looked really that great at all. His fight against Jose Aldo, you know, towards the end of it, it looked like he might come back. You know, he had some gas in him still and was putting on a good show. But then after that, you know, getting knocked out in 7 seconds by the Korean Zombie. And then that unanimous decision loss to editioin, or was it a split decision? I don't know. But it was a kind of close fight, and he thought he won it, but I thought editioin had won it the whole way. You know, it was a fairly close fight. And then going up against Pablo Garza, who you know, was making some noise in the division with some crazy flying submissions and stuff earlier in his UFC career. He's coming off a couple of losses. You know, I see Mark Hominick, you know, he's really got to get focused and win this or he's out of the UFC. You know, 4 losses in a row he's done. So I got Mark Hominick winning this via third round TKO. The next fight I want to talk about is Martin the Hitman Kampmann versus Johnny Hendricks. Martin Kampmann, you know, is looking really great lately. I keep counting him out of fights, and he keeps winning the fights, you know, coming off a big win over Jake Ellenberger. And then Johnny Hendricks also, you know, has looked really good. You know, tough fight with Josh Koscheck, but other than that, you know, he looked great in his knockout over John Fitch. You know, I think that Koscheck fight could have gone either way, but, you know, he got the split decision win. I got Martin Kampmann. I got Kampmann winning this via 3-round unanimous decision. Should be a good fight, but yeah, Kampmann winning this. And then the main event of the evening, the one we have been waiting for, interim champion versus other champion, George St Pierre versus Carlos Condit. I love Carlos Condit. He's a hell of a fighter. George is coming off a huge, super long layoff. You know, I see George taking Condit down a lot, you know, and Condit's got some jiu-jitsu off his back, you know. But I got George winning this. I think George is going to finish this fight in the 4th round. I got George via some sort of submission, 4th round. And that is my predictions for UFC on 154. Like, subscribe, and follow.